I am extremely excited to present what I think could be just incredibly revolutionary for adult learners at Highlands to get an added layer of support. I know that there's already kind of a deep care culture there, and I'll explain what I mean by that. But with adding in kind of this support coaching layer, I think it only furthers that type of that culture and intent. So with that said, I'm going to share my screen, and bear with me because this is really the first time we've showcased this presentation. So there's a lot of elements to it. There's a lot of exciting components that are going to go into making all of this work. So with that said, let me share my screen and we will jump in. Okay, so I don't have the presentation on present mode because there's some notes that I want to make sure I'm quickly looking at and ensuring that I'm not skipping anything. But what we want to do is reinvent kind of how most help desks are thought of. So we've come up with kind of a working title, certainly could be revised, of this Highlands Helpline, okay? And this is an added support layer that kind of goes within this intention that, and I think this is a good time to show this. This kind of goes within this intention, and it looks a little something like this. Okay, Highlands has a deep care culture for your adult learners, and I think it kind of visually looks something like this. You've got the administrative layer where when students come into the school, they obviously get a chance to talk with the folks that run everything from kind of a high level operations standpoint. And that's kind of where that orientation layer begins. So you get to know the administrators, you get to see as a student the high level overview. What's the mission of the school? How do things operate day to day? You get that sense that the team really cares in that way. And then we go on to, there's a counselor after you kind of get that orientation. There are counselors involved in the process, and they help review transcripts, and they help to set up coursework schedules, and really help the student kind of academically get or they make them aware of what they need to do to complete high school. It's as simple as that. They're the game plan builders. And then there's the teachers, pardon me, and then there's the teachers that execute that game plan. They take the roadmap that the counselor lays out, and then they have the opportunity to instruct the students and get to know them on that kind of deep academic level. But what about when the school day ends? Yes, I know great teachers, they extend their time well beyond the classroom hours, and same thing with all the caring staff. But is there kind of a dedicated, once adult learners leave the building, team that's committed to helping after the traditional school day ends? I think that's where we can come in with this approach of having a helpline, and I'll explain a lot more. The helpline is not just kind of a hotline where phone calls take place. The engagement is vastly richer. It's tremendously more individualized. It's building a relationship. It's helping on an academic level, and it's also assisting, equally important, removing non-educational barriers. So there can be a force of individuals that I would help put in place that would add that coaching and support layer for students after kind of classroom hours are up, and they can always text or call or email or video chat with a live person between particular hours, which we'll get into in the next slide, to further assist them in staying into this circle of trust, right? With every good circle of trust, we got to have the trust pound. Maybe Ben Stiller would say he's got to get in Robert De Niro's circle of trust. But we really want to, all kidding aside, build this tight, all-encompassing loop that surrounds the students with the first line of, or the first contact that they make, typically with administrators, and then counselors giving the academic overall game plan, teachers implementing that game plan, coaches helping support not only that game plan, but maybe helping to remove any non-educational barriers that would get in the way. So student-centric. So student-centric will this plan key in on. Just being 100% focused on the student's needs. So that is a deep culture of care. That's what we're thinking. This is adding one more rich layer of support. Okay, how do we add this layer, this support coaching? It can revolve around the phone number to begin with, and an email address and a website, but it's just oh so much more than that. So what we're projecting on doing, and we can obviously create a phone number that has a Sacramento area code, but whether students want to call, text, email, or just generally explore some tremendous resources that we're going to have on a website soon, they can call anytime between 11 a.m. Pacific time and 7 p.m. Pacific time, text or email within that time frame, and reach someone that's ready to assist. And they're going to assist in a myriad of ways. It could be as simple as, hey, I'm really struggling with this homework or class assignment, or I just generally don't feel like my vocabulary is that good. Can I get some enrichment? Or it can be something, as challenging as it may be. The student just needs to find part-time work. They don't have a resume that, they think could be adequate to get that employment. We may help on that. They may even say something as challenging as, hey, I'm attempting to get this job. I've applied. Can you assist with helping me follow up? Yeah, 100%. We're not just here to help people with only school work. We know that there are some things on the career front that we could potentially help with too, that would allow students to be, we think, more engaged with both or with the academics, because they're able to have maybe a steadier income for themselves or fulfill something non-academically that may hinder them from staying engaged with the program. So it all revolves around a phone number. Our experience with students in the adult learning space is very simple. They really like to text. Emailing, I think, is a second option. Calling's a distant third. But no matter what, it revolves around something that can be done on a mobile device very simply from the get-go, through contacting us very simple. And again, everything starts with kind of a mobile friendly approach, whether it's shooting a text message off or looking at a website that will be very mobile friendly, or doing an email from a phone. Okay, personal relationships. They're not only key, they're just 100% what will make things or break things. So the initial team is just 3 people. We have a number of other people that will be more on the student, or that will be adding to assist with kind of day-to-day student support. But it's myself, Kevin Dennett, we call him Mr. D, and then Kate Nordike. I know it's a 3-person team, but it's a very dynamic team. And when students reach out, we will actually not even start with students reaching out. I want to go to my notes really quick and kind of reinforce what we're talking about. I know on slide 2, I shared about the phone number and the help hours, but it's really, and we know this, and I have this in my notes, we realize Field of Dreams isn't real. If you build something awesome, people don't come right away. I think that they'll come once there's proof that it's something that could benefit them. But myself, Kevin Dennett, and Kate Nordike are all so committed to personally reaching out to students initially, with a phone call or with a text message if, for whatever reason, a phone call is not suitable. And just really letting them know this isn't some automated message, at least not at first. We really care. We think we can add help and support. So we're going to, whoever we're assigned to assist and add this support layer to, we're going to start with a phone call, or whatever very personal thing we can do to let each and every student that we're tasked with helping know that we really care. And we're going to try to give them a very brief rundown on what we can provide, whether it's like I said, the tutoring or the enrichment or specific assignment assistance, or going as far as, hey, they're struggling and they need to get maybe some part-time work or a job that fits within their school schedule to generate more income for their household. We want to let them know that we're there and we care, and we want to announce ourselves, through being as personal as we can. Just kind of furthering that, once we get that human touch in with the students themselves, I think this kind of goes hand in hand. This can be done simultaneous to that. We want to make sure that the instructors that are tasked with providing the core teaching to these students know that we're a partner to them. We're not trying to take their position. We're not trying to do anything but be a wing person to them, be a supplement to what they're doing, and hopefully make their lives easier in the classroom. When they see students are struggling, or they are maybe aware even of some things that could be done to help the student, we want to also make it known to the teachers and, inform them anyway of what we're doing, what we're providing, how we can be a good collaborator with them. This is not an effort where we're there to do anything but supplement, enrich, add value, not impede or overstep. We want to work in, really frictionless cooperation mode, so to speak, with the team there. So in addition to really making a personal, real connection with the students, we want to do the same thing with the teachers and let them know how we can support and, provide value to them as well. Then, to get the word out, I think there's a couple other things that are not quite as personal that are important. We have services. There's a service that we use called Call Loop. Call Loop allows large text messages to be sent out, SMS text messages. It allows voice broadcasts to be sent out. So once we have the contact information for the students that we'll be working with, we can send in force, large scale SMS messages. Obviously, that's not our first line approach. We want to make a deep personal connection with students. But once we have established that, it's important to really touch base sometimes at scale. So Call Loop, it can message, or it can text via SMS. A group as large as, 10,000, 20,000, whatever the number is. Obviously, we're not starting with that, but it has SMS mass messaging capability, voice blast, meaning you record a call and it automatically dials out as many numbers in the system as possible. So we have Call Loop to implement the SMS and voice at scale for communicating that way. And then we have MailChimp. It's a pretty common tool to do really rich, well thought out email campaigns. And again, this is in supplement, and I really stress that, in supplement to the personal contacts. And I know some people may consider text to be impersonal, but that's some people's 100% main mode of communication. So whether it be a call or a text that's really tailored straight to that person, that's obviously our first line. But we certainly realize that we have to be on top and continue the circle of engagement, or the circle of trust, through multiple means. Yes. So that's a little bit on the communication strategy. So Call Loop for mass SMS and phone blast, or voice blast. MailChimp for mass email blast, obviously taking the first line approach of personal calls, personal text messages, really trying to reach the student as directly as possible at first, collaborating with teachers in a really, seamless way, trying to make their lives and obviously their objective of helping students, improved in any way we can. Those are some of the broader, the narrower things and the broader things we can do. Also, we have an e-poster that can either be physically printed out. If I can get to it. Well, I did have an e-poster. Let me jump back. Hopefully this pulls up. So we made kind of a poster, at least a prototype one. Here it is. We made a prototype poster that could either be digitally distributed or, maybe more analog printed and distributed that way. So basically just promoting this helpline concept, again, revolving around this focus on deep care and adding this extra layer of support to all students that, we would be given the privilege of working with. So, pushing out with a poster, whether it's physically printed or digitally distributed, talking about homework assistance, tutoring, career support. And then also, I just want to make sure that I didn't forget anything, but I realized at the particular time of filming this that, in-person orientation is probably not something going on at the very moment, but also integrating this helpline tool as something that's maybe presented when students are initially brought into a program. So just sharing it as part of the collective services available to make students' lives easier. So just integrating what we're offering on the coaching and the helpline support as part of orientation. So yes, that's that part. Let's go on in the presentation. So, we made Mr. D a little, his hair isn't as good in real life, just so no one's too terribly disappointed, but, we spruced them up for the presentation. Wanted to talk a little bit about dynamic support. I'm going to drill down into what all this means. It's not just kind of buzzwords. Dynamic support, as I mentioned in a previous slide, we want to have the ability to respond kind of in a real-time or live way from 11 a.m. Pacific to 7 p.m. Pacific time. Our goal with that is when a student would text or call or email in, that's kind of the initial time only that they do that. They will be assigned a coach that they will have a much more personal relationship with. The first time that they kind of reach out to us, they can they can reach out via the main number, again, through text, call, or send a general email. But our idea is certainly not to keep it like that forever. We're here to provide vastly more personal coaching and collaboration with students than just having them shoot a message to some just general faceless help desk. So live support through that time, once a student kind of goes through the initial process of reaching out to us, we assign them a coach. And our thought is to help students pretty simple, with whether it's a homework assignment, something that they're, or something that they're just generally struggling with in class in terms of picking up a concept. They can work with us on enrichment, meaning they feel pretty good about a certain ability, but they want to improve it. Maybe it's their reading skills or reading comprehension. Maybe it's their knowledge of math or science, whatever, they feel like they want to improve upon. We can certainly work with them on that by providing either kind of a live support or materials that they can work on independently and show us their progress, and we can help them make pivotal breakthroughs. Obviously, as I've mentioned throughout the presentation, we want to really collaborate with teachers. If teachers also identify students that are struggling, that are part of the folks that we're tasked with providing support to, by all means, we want them to reach out to us, and we can help in any way that they see fit. We're going to be working on attendance reminders through the Call Blast system, or I'm sorry, through Call Loop, which can either do the Call Blast or the SMS, or sending out MailChimp messages. Our dynamic support is just about engaging people on multiple levels, whether that be through personal phone call, or just a mass email, or following up with or following up with them via a teacher's request. We just want to provide as all-encompassing help as we possibly can. So I want to drill down a little bit and talk about once a student kind of initially reaches out to us, like, what does that process look like? So we've talked about, there's this helpline number, people can text it or call it or email it, but that just seems kind of like robotic. Like when you have a printer or something that's broken, or your computer's not working, you reach out to some help desk and somebody just kind of gives you cookie cutter advice, or is very robotic in their approach to assisting you with that challenge. What we're trying to do that's different is obviously be the initiators of saying, hey, we're here to support you, but also really trying to understand individually that student's desire to do whatever. We want to look at what they want to achieve academically. We want to look at what their post high school ambitions are. Their post high school diploma ambitions are. And we also want to know what the heck's standing in your way that maybe we could remove that would be a hindrance. And maybe that thing standing in somebody's way is they need to generate a bit more income for their household, which means getting a part-time job that still allows them to come to school, but they need to make some money. And maybe the thing that was stopping them is they were really stifled on an online application, or they've tried to go to interviews before, and maybe their soft skills just need bolstering or something to that effect. So when a student reaches out, the first thing that we want to do with the student is we add a folder into Google Team Drive. Okay. And I've got good old Bob Smith here, who's an example student. And inside Bob Smith's folder is when a student reaches out to us. And again, this is just a template that kind of gives a broad idea. This is our initial intake form. And please don't think that this is a final draft, but when somebody reaches out, our first step is to get to know them, or when we contact them and they say, hey, I'd love to, have you guys support me and coach me up and hold me accountable and make sure I'm doing what I need to do. So we say, fantastic. Can we get to know you a little bit better? The student doesn't fill this out, but we can ask them whether it's on the phone or we'll set up a time to chat with them on the phone or through a video call. And we just get their name, their cell phone number, their email, just so we can stay in contact with them. Even if we have it, we'll just ask them again, because sometimes those things change, let's face it. But we want to know, how can we help you perform better in school? What challenges might prevent you from completing school? And we want to have that inventory, and how can we help you immediately, and so on and so forth. We want to have that knowledge of every single person we're working with. So our first contact with the student, once they reach out for support, is to get to know them on a goals and objectives level, on a what's stopping you from maybe being at your best right this second level, and seeing where we can make any breakthroughs. So that's first. I also would love to get, and I know that this is going to take collaborating with maybe the counselors or teachers, but for each person that we're tasked with supporting, just, what is their academic schedule? What's period one supposed to be, period two? Who's their teacher? How can we contact that teacher? Just so we can really drill down and be as helpful as possible, knowing like, okay, if that person's really struggling with math, they can show us the assignment all they want, but maybe we need to reach out to the teacher and see, okay, shoot, what's going on here? You know, where can we jump in and be the most aid to that student? So really drilling down with each student and knowing, you know, like what their day looks like and who they're going to be in contact with from an instruction standpoint. So we don't have to ask them to do as much for us. We can kind of be there and like know what assignments they're going to be working on and be ahead of the game. So like they're not just kind of filling us in retroactively. Like we can be proactive and get with their instructor and make sure we're on top of things. So when a student reaches out, doing that that initial intake, kind of the goals and objectives intake form, also doing or also obtaining their academic schedule for whatever period of time that would be good for, so we can really build a proactive relationship with the instructors and get to know what the expectation is, and be on top of any help in as in advance as possible. So um, yeah. Also, you know, once we've taken all that in and received all that information, we're going to track that interaction via Google Sheets. So um, we'll say just Bob Smith here. So Bob Smith, and I just have a random note that's not related to that. Continue helping his biology, completed Nearpod cell division lesson. Um, you know, whatever contact, like, you know, we may have had this note, really made first contact and completed initial assessment, needs help with whatever. We want to always keep a log of the latest contact on this communication status. So if we reached out to Bob today, it's March 25th, we would note whatever our conversation entailed in this one. If there was a note already in there, we would bring it to our communications archive. So we can always look back and see, like, what types of conversations have we had with this person? Did we ever cover that? Are they right? We've never really discussed that before. So we always want to stay on top of our latest communications in this kind of hot contact log, so to speak. We also want to track if Bob or one of our students has done anything with us. So like when we send them materials, like we go over or we help them with something like the initial intake, we could log something like that in our assignment log. I get that it's not really an assignment per se, but whatever things that we complete with them, we can track it, whether it is something, you know, like we created like that initial intake, or whether it's a Nearpod lesson, or whether it's like a quiz that we think will help bolster them up on Google Sheets. We would record that. So all the interactions, whether it's the communications element or the kind of tangible deliverable, so to speak, that we worked with them on, we would track all of that in our Google Sheet here. And again, this is just a very, you know, it's a very kind of demonstration purposes spreadsheet. Obviously, like there's a lot more to it than that. And once we get done kind of logging all that information, we want to assign them a coach. And each coach is going to have kind of like a calling card, so to speak. And I'll show you an example. So we've gotten to know the students' goals and objectives. We've logged our conversation with them. We've kind of we've also logged any assignment, like finishing the intake form in our sheet. Now we're going to say, hey, it looks like you're working on a career-related task. So you're going to be working with, you know, Zach Nordike. So if you absolutely need anything, here's Zach's contact information. And we'll explain to him. If you need to text him or call him, here's his number. If you need to email him, here's his direct email. If you need to book him for something very specific, like if you want to schedule set time, you can go to his You Can Book Me page and do that. So we're going to make sure, again, once we made that initial contact, they're assigned to someone specifically. And we try to we'll include like a picture of what that person looks like, and 3 ways of contacting them, actually maybe 4: phone, text, email, or even reaching out and directly scheduling a meeting. but we'll also enforce to them, you don't have to schedule a meeting. Like it's optional. We want people to feel free to text or email or call at any point, and just let them know, like, if we can't get back to you right that second, as long as we're kind of active and live within the 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific window, we will get back to you shortly. And if that's your assigned coach, they will most certainly reach out to you before day's end, and help you in any way that you need assistance in. So yeah, that's that. And let's see what our next part of the presentation is. So that's the dynamic support, interactive learning. We really value doing things that aren't like, I get when students go to school, it has to be kind of textbook and it's very rigid learning to some extent. That's true of just like any school. We all have standards we have to meet. There's just things that have to be done, whether they're super fun or not. But what we want to do in terms of enrichment and providing that tutoring layer and trying to help people is make the lessons as fun as possible, and really support people in ways that are very mobile first solutions. I put this mobile first approach in, and I'm going to try to shift my demo just really temporarily to showing off my phone so you can see what the solutions look like. And again, these are all just really unfinished demos at this point, but this is how we envision this solution being implemented. So let's look on the desktop first at what a Nearpod lesson looks like. So if I'm a student and I go to Nearpod, I will be given a specific code that says, so we're down here, students, join a lesson. If if one of our coaches says, hey, let's work on, some basic English stuff, they may give them a code like IUMOW, and then the student just joins with that code and they jump right into a lesson. And again, please don't take this lesson as like, oh, this is what the content will really look like. No, this is just to kind of show you how dynamic things could be. So of course, this is on desktop. Put in Zach, and then we'll put in 22 plus. And then I'm going to join the session. So first thing, okay, match the numbers with the description. 2-digit number 10, even number 8, 3-digit number 100, odd number 5. Awesome. Okay, 4 tries, got the pairs right. Good. And then there could be a quiz of some type that jumps up. And again, it's pretty cool. How many cookies would you have if you ordered 2 dozen? Okay, see. So on and so forth. So that's an example of a Nearpod lesson. The student just goes to nearpod.com. They go to join as a student. So again, they would just go to nearpod.com. There's this nice, rich button on the website that says enter the code. They put in, again, the one that we were doing, IUMOW. They enter into the lesson like that, and they begin their Nearpod lesson. So they give their name and they say, I'm from Highlands, or whatever it is, and they just join the session and they begin the lesson. So this is a self-paced lesson, but it can also be done with the instructor's assistance in what's referred to as a live interactive session. So that's Nearpod. The other thing that we do, and I'm going to put this in a student view mode. This is an English 11 test, but we also have study materials. We have a little bit more static material that's not quite as interactive, but there's tons of questions, tons of more text-based support pieces that we've created that are automatically graded through Google Forms. This is an example of our English 11 tests that we would use here at our school, but we have both study guides and testing material for a wide array of subjects. And Google Forms and Nearpod are awesome because Nearpod's a lot more rich and engaging in terms of the features, or I'm sorry, like in terms of dynamic features, but we really have some great content that's available on in the Google Forms format, and both are really cool because they work well on mobile. I'm going to do my best, and this is a live experiment, so this may not work perfectly, but I'm going to do my best to stop sharing my screen for a millisecond and share my phone, which is a bit of a risky move, but I'm in a daring mood. Let's see if I can get this to happen. All righty, let's see. Let's screen mirror here. Okay, wow. I'm a tad bit surprised that worked. So this is Nearpod, and this hence the randomness of a live lesson. But this is Nearpod on a mobile device, and you saw this on a desktop. Odd number 5, 100 is our 3-digit number. So this works awfully well on the mobile. Looks darn near the same. 24 was our answer there. Oh, okay. I think I went off the beaten path there. Um, but just that brief little demo. So that's Nearpod on mobile. I think it works pretty well. Um, all the features and functionalities are pretty much the same. Here's what, and this is our fundamental math study guide. Um, fairly good for a mobile. Uh, I love that both Nearpod and Google Forms, I mean, it's just a simple link that people are sent, or like they would just go to Nearpod and enter in their code. No matter what device I mean, this is on an iPhone. So if you have a little Samsung Galaxy, or if you have like an iPad or whatever other small device, these things look awesome on those devices. We're expecting most students to interact with the support via mobile device. I mean, that's just a very common way that most students do stuff in our program. We venture, our hypothesis at least is that will be the same with the Highlands students that connect with us and do the support coaching with us. So yeah, that's that. I'm just really pumped about the Nearpod and the Google Forms. So yeah, that's interactive learning, live demo. It pretty much worked the way I was hoping to. So obviously we can drill down and show the materials to a much larger extent, but we're hoping to give you kind of this big overview of what we're intending to accomplish. Improve student success and retention. I mean, that boils down to 100% earning their trust by, I think, being the first one to reach out, to letting them know that we're there to, help them. I mean, shoot, like not just help them in a way that's like esoteric, but just really drill down. Like, hey, we want to help you finish school within the quickest timeline possible. We want to help you figure out how you can be most prepared after graduation to go on to get the career that you really aspire to achieve, or to move on to the post-secondary level, whatever degree that makes sense. We just really want to build their trust and get that trust pound, as we talked about, through deep care. And just doing our deep care is like saying, hey, if you work with us, and we'll make sure that if you're willing to commit and partner with us, that we can help you if you're struggling with anything academically. We can help you if you want to get better at a certain subject area. We can assist you with forming a game plan for once you're done, of like how to get that job that you're aspiring to get, or how to get cooking with post-secondary training of some type, or going to college of some type. It's just like the improved retention is a lot about trust and personal relationship, But we also have tools, as we mentioned before, like a call loop, like a MailChimp, that can do some automated stuff, and just persistence in terms of calling folks and just letting them know we're here and we care, and whether it's a non-educational barrier or something that's academic, we can support them. Um, so yeah, it's all about the trust pound. Um, so KPIs, right? Key performance indicators. I'm kind of biting from the John Doerr playbook here, but KPIs are super important. We want to be measured, and like this is us asking to be measured because we want to bring tangible, known value to students and to the program as a whole. Like if we aren't helping the school by retaining people and helping them engage further, improve on academic coursework, and have a dynamic post-secondary plan, or I'm sorry, post-high school diploma plan, we don't think we're adding maximum value. Will it take time to do these things and do them well? Sure. But should it be measured from the get-go? 100%. I think that making a particular level of progress always needs to be at least the objective, and whether you get there or not, like just measuring and understanding why things were achieved or possibly not achieved. But when we talk about our KPIs, our key performance indicators, we really like those to be centering around engagement as message volume and completed lessons. Okay. um, the number that we're using, that students text or call, as well as the email that we're using, is part of Google Voice. The numbers that the numbers that students would text or call that to engage with coaches directly will be Google Voice numbers. The great part about that is we can get instant reports on like the message volume and the level of communication. I think just pure engagement between students and our team is big and should be tracked. Like if we're getting very little engagement, it just shows we're not probably applying as much effort there as we need, and we need to step up our outbound engagement. Um, Also, we need to look at completed lessons. As I mentioned, in using our Google Sheet here, we're going to be tracking like our communications when we actually reach a student and what they did. Like it's not us trying to just have conversations that are only kind of sentimental in nature. Of course, we're going to care and we're going to really help students in any way we can. But at the end of the day, we need to be completing things, whether it's building resumes or finishing certain homework assignments or projects that need to be completed, or preparing for um, exams, or whatever it is. We need to be measured, or we're requesting, because we think it adds value in what did people complete. Okay. Retention, pretty simple. School attendance, is that improving or not? Are they coming to school on a regular, is their attendance worse than before, the same, or better? Retention isn't just their interaction with us. I mean, that's wonderful, but like, can we help that student come to school more, where their attendance improves? I mean, that's the bottom line. If their attendance is improving, then that's huge. That's a big part of what we want to encourage and push on. Assessments, whether it's using the CASAS or another measure, where did that student initially come in? And it can be even student grades. It doesn't need to be some standardized test, but if that's a valuable measure to the program, most certainly. But are students completing assignments, more punctually, on time? Are their grades improving at all? On a standardized assessment, have they performed better? Those are metrics that we want to be assessed by. If we're not helping in that regard, then again, the impact's not as great as what I think we collaboratively all would want. And then finally, and this probably is going to take the most time to kind of demonstrate, but I think that there can be some more immediate measures. But post-diploma success, it's something that we put immense effort on in our program here in Ohio. But boils down to job placement, and post-secondary uh, enrollment. So, when somebody finishes our program, or maybe even before, if it's job placement, did we assist them with, lining up their next opportunity? Because if you don't have a next play, uh, I don't know, we're just maybe not serving folks to the maximum of what we should be. So it's always making sure that we're assisting to the maximum extent and providing that next play, and assuring that that student has kind of a career opportunity lined up, or a post-secondary opportunity, whatever furthers their lives and helps them hopefully generate more income for their household over time is huge. So those are the 4 measures that we think are big. And I think I was going to talk about this in the previous slide, but we want to send out like a mass message every month. So just having like a consistent rhythm too. So the slide 7 was about the KPIs, but just kind of winding back, it's also about building consistency and when you're going to communicate with the students. So we were thinking about for the folks that we're going to be supporting with the coaching, to do like a mass message on Monday, personal calls on Wednesday, even if they're just really simple check-ins, and individual messages, like just a warm text on Fridays. And like just always trying to uncomplicate things for students. Life can get overwhelming for all of us, but when you're trying to finish high school, no matter what age you are, there's just a ton of stress, and work can get because we have so many different factors going on in our lives, each of us, things can get overly complicated. So even if we can help people take just a step back, deep breath, and say, I know you're really struggling with this concept. Let's go over it. We've got tons of material that can help you better understand this. And we can hop on a video call and I can break this down for you. So whatever things we're doing with students, we want there to be consistency. So that's that. Also in this deck, there's a pricing slide that I don't want to share on the video cast. But most certainly when you see the presentation, you can take a look at it. I think we've come up with something that's extraordinarily fair that should work all the way around. So that being said, that is our presentation on how our support and helpline will work and how it really feeds into this deep culture of care. Hey, it's all about deep care and trust. So trust pound. We're out for now. Thanks so much.